Good morning. We just heard those last words of the gospel, but these are written that you may come to believe. If you're not a religious person or don't usually go to church, start off with a welcome here. We're glad you're here because you are why we are here. Now we know that most of the time in our lives, for most of us, is ordinary time. Life can be on autopilot and things go along pretty well. But sometimes things are so out of whack that we need a total turnaround. We need a 180-degree turnaround where we completely turn around and go in the opposite direction. Perhaps the biggest 180 in history is Easter, because we celebrate the belief in Jesus Christ's resurrection from the dead. And that's exactly what brings us to our message series during this Easter season, 180. When Jesus went into a town, everyone took notice. He attracted huge crowds. And we hear in the scriptures that he went about doing good and healed all of those oppressed by the devil. In other words, he effected a 180-degree change everywhere he went. He turns stuff around. That's what Jesus does. Whoever you are, whatever your story, Jesus wants to help you do a 180. Today's scriptures were written by Luke. That Luke was a doctor and an assistant to St. Paul. He says, many signs and wonders were done among the people at the hands of the apostles. Throughout the book of the Acts of the Apostles, Luke uses this expression of signs and wonders, linking the work of the apostles to Jesus' work, who did many amazing things. That people brought the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and mats so that at least Peter's shadow might fall on some of them as he passed by. Crowds gathered from the towns around Jerusalem, bringing their sick and those tormented by evil spirits, and all of them were healed. And Luke was a man of science. He's a medical doctor. And he's the one who's telling us that all of these people were healed. Just back to church for the first time in a long time. Maybe you don't really believe in miracles and healings like that. Maybe skeptical. That you're in good company today because our gospel reading is the story of Thomas, the patron saint of skeptics. That skepticism isn't necessarily bad, but skepticism was not the reaction in this case. In fact, just the opposite. Because more and more men and women believed in the Lord and were added to their number. The early church was persecuted by the authorities. Their leader had just been savagely executed by the government. That it was dangerous to even be associated with these Jesus people, and yet they believed because they're healed. This is the apostles doing the healing, or at least being channels of the healing for the Holy Spirit. That Luke is describing what the church is, at least what the church is supposed to be, a place of healing, a place for healing human hearts. Often as a result of those wounds, we drift into some bad habits that wind up hurting us more than helping, or hurting the people we love by causing our relationships to suffer. Sometimes we might begin to think that we just need to be more disciplined or more in control. Set goals and achieve them, and things will get better. We don't need more discipline, and we don't need more goals. What in fact we need is healing. So here's what I'd encourage you to do. Avoid the temptation to ignore it or just move on. Ignore the temptation to push it down and pretend like that ugly thing in your heart just isn't there. Instead, stop and pray. Lord, I invite you to heal me. Lord, I invite you to heal me. We can say it to ourselves right now. Lord, I invite you to heal me. We can say it when we get in the car on our drive home. Lord, I invite you to heal me. We know that hurt people hurt people. And healed people heal people. Hurt people hurt people, and healed people heal people. Jesus didn't just heal hurt people. He turned them into healers themselves. That's what he did, and that's what he continues to do. That's a 180, and that's what he wants to do for each one of us.